was on the board for the Orlando Apartment Association back in 2015 when I'm sitting in a strategic planning session. The executive director walks in and he shares that 6 months prior, he tried to connect his old AMS to QuickBooks, pressed the sync button, and it completely destroyed his books. He said that took him about 3 weeks to clean up. And in the fallout, his bookkeeper left, the CPA firm fired him. And, he just basically, he said, uncle, like, I don't know really what to do. There has to be a better way. And he shared that with the board. We're in strategic planning. And what do you do in strategic planning? You solve problems. And
right.
We started debating, what do you do? And the rest. And long story short, the board chair, she just looks over at me and she's like, I know how to solve this, Pete, you do it. And I got voluntold to spend what has been now millions of dollars building association management software platform, not just for them, but now close to 200 other associations across the United States.
How did that conversation go?
No, the first thing I did was I literally ducked underneath the table. And that's what I did. I physically went underneath the table and I came back up and I looked at them and I said, you guys are out of your mind. You've just told me I'm going to spend millions of dollars. Because I owned a tech company. I know what it's like and how hard it is to build technology. Imagine if you're building a building and you put that building into an easement and the government comes in and says, no, you got to move it 10 feet. Well, you're tearing down the whole building and you're basically out of business. And I think technology is the exact same way. I've watched there's 30 other AMSs on the planet. Why haven't they figured it out? So for that, I said, let me go do my own research. I'll figure out the QuickBooks thing. I want you guys telling us what association executives and staff, what they need in software, not what engineers think should be in software. It's interesting. I know you guys have spoken a number of times in your podcast about the concept of hub and spoke and having a core AMS do what it does incredibly well, and then connect with other best-in-class software solutions. So to pick on you, Ben, like people ask me, well, why don't you have an online community built into your AMS? I'm like, well, that's its own discipline. An online community is its own thing. And how am I going to have the best AMS on the planet if I'm also trying to provide an online community? And they're all different. There are different pros and cons of different online communities. So find the one that's best for you and then integrate it with us. I've got, for the average 5-person staff, we're saving one entire FTE of work, and they're repurposing that back into their mission. They're doing all sorts of crazy stuff with it. They're doing, job programs and more legislative work. They're going back to the mission of the organization instead of just sort of running the actual association because of all the automation we bring to it. So we very strongly believe that associations create change in their industries, in their communities, in the world. Maybe call me sappy for thinking that, but I really, really believe it. I see it with, we've got a restaurant association on the platform, and I see the work that they did over the last 2 years to keep hundreds and hundreds of restaurants in business during the pandemic. And I used to own a restaurant. It was a mini restaurant, but I get it. And I lost $1 million in a restaurant. So I know what it takes and what it's like, to be one of those members. And I see what she's done with that staff, that small staff at that restaurant association, the things that they've accomplished in their state. And it's absolutely incredible. Or I see the long-term effects of, the apartment business and the apartment associations, and how 30 years ago, 40 years ago, people lived in apartments because they had to, and they weren't really that nice. And now they live there and it's a safe place and the maintenance is done well, it's professional. You don't have discrimination in apartment communities like you used to. All that came from associations and the education that those associations have provided. And it's countless, just industry after industry, or profession after profession. So associations create change.
It's the multiplication effect.
That's it. Yeah. And our job is to amplify that change.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like converting on customer experience, right? And you put that in the front and it works. You read about this in books, right? But very infrequently do you actually come across it in life.
Well, we used to say customer service is our marketing plan. And that, we don't really say it out loud too much anymore. I mean, it sounds a little bit hokey and corny, but at our core, that's very true. I mean, you got to.
I'm ready for